Parshas Vayera, Revi'i. The Aliyah opens up by telling us that the Malach said to Lot, yeah, it's okay, you could flee to that small city, I'm not going to destroy it, but get there quickly, because I'm not going to be able to do anything until you're there. And Lot travels over to that city. Now then, the Psukim go on to say that the sun rises, and that's when the destruction begins. Now Rashi points out that Hashem wanted Sodom to be destroyed at an hour when the sun and moon are both out. Now the reason for that was because there were people in Sodom that served the moon, and there were people in Sodom that served the sun. And if it would happen during the daytime, only when the sun is out, the people who would serve the moon would say, oh, if this were to happen at night, then we wouldn't be destroyed. And if it were to happen at night, then the people who serve the sun would say, oh, if this were to happen during the day, then we wouldn't be destroyed. So Hashem did it at that exact moment when both sun and moon are there to show that everybody is getting destroyed. And the Psukim go on to describe that there was sulfur and fire, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu overturned everything, the cities, the vegetation, etc. It was all gone. Now at this point in time, Lot's wife makes that mistake of turning around, and the Pasuk tells us, yeah, that's right, what we've all learned in kindergarten, she turned into that pillar of salt. Now at this point, the Psukim shift over to Avraham, telling us that Avraham notices what is going on, and he's gazing down at Sodom, seeing the smoke that's rising up. Shift back to Lot now. The Psukim tell us that Lot travels out of that city of Tzor, and he goes up to this mountain with his two daughters, and they settle in this cave. Now the two daughters at this point think that the entire world was destroyed, just like what happened in the Mabul. And therefore they think that there's nobody to continue on the world. So they say, listen, there's only one man left in the world, and that's our father. So the older daughter says to the younger one that we should live with our father and in turn to be able to continue on the world. So that night they gave him wine to drink, and the older daughter laid with Lot. The following night, the older daughter told the younger daughter that, hey, listen, that's what I did last night, you're going to do the same tonight. And they gave him the same wine again, and the younger daughter laid with him, and both of them ended up conceiving. Now the nation that ended up coming from the older one was Moab, from the word Me Avi, from my father. The nation that ended up coming from the younger one was Ammon, from the name Ben Ami, son of my nation. Now the Psukim go back to Avram and tell us that Avram starts traveling with Sarah, and they end up in this place called Gerar, where Avimelech is the king. And Avram tells Avimelech that Sarah is his sister because of the potential danger. Well, Avimelech ends up taking Sarah, and before anything happens, Hashem comes to Avimelech and he says, don't you dare do anything with her because you're going to die. And Avimelech says back, he said that she's his sister. What? I had no intention of anything to do. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I understand, you're 100% right, so just make sure to give her back right away to Avram, and in turn Avram's going to daven for you, and everything is going to be fine. And Avimelech gets up early in the morning and he summons Avram, and he says, what is it that you did to us? I mean, you created this horrible situation. In turn, there was a plague that came on my entire people, where Rashi tells us the plague was that all the openings in the human body were all closed off for these individuals, no going to the bathroom, etc., etc. And it was very difficult and very painful. And Avimelech said, what did we do wrong? And Avram said, listen, I sensed that there was no Yiras Shamayim in this place, and therefore I had to say that she's my sister, and I've instructed Sarah that every time we travel, for her to say that I'm her brother due to the potential danger. Well, Avimelech ends up taking all kinds of flocks and giving it to Avram as a gift, and of course he gives Sarah back, and he promises Avram whatever lands he wants. And Avram davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then the plague is gone, and then everybody is fine. And the Aliyah concludes by telling us the wonderful news that Sarah in her old age conceived, and they end up having the baby. Avram names him Yitzchak, and then 8 days later, there's a bris milah.